If you need to have a conversation, please feel free to step out into the hallway. Ms. Cameron, are there any changes to today's agenda?
There are none.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? Is there a meeting to waive the reading of the non-public and public Board of Assessors meeting minutes from August 29, 2019, accept them and place them on file?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Are there any errors or corrections? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the Board of Assessors decision report from the August 29, 2019 meeting as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Ms. Kleiner?
Good morning. So I've provided you with a number of documents this morning. And I'm just going to briefly update you on a few items. Assessing has been increasingly busy, as I'm sure most of you know. One of the reports that I'm giving you is a GIS assessment report. This was created by CDM Smith, who was hired to assess the needs of both the assessing department and the Division of Public Works. This was connected with the management audit report that was completed by CFO Griffin and myself last spring. Our audit included assessing all of the systems and programs that were utilized in the assessing function. This was the last piece to that part of the management audit report. The consultant from CDM Smith, Mr. Brennan, Ms. Andruskevich, and Bruce Cottington from IT updated the PEDC, Planning and Economic Development Committee, on September 3rd. Minutes to that meeting are available online if anyone's interested. The report will walk you through the important components of GIS and how they're related to assessing, and how well those functions are working, which was really good news for us. As you know, GIS is critical in a lot of the work that assessing does. The assessing department is currently upgrading our CAMA system. That's going very well. We've completed general training, and now we are moving on to more user-specific one-on-one training and conducting technical reviews to verify data between the systems. Last Tuesday, Mr. Greg Turgis and I attended the NHAAO Board of Directors meeting up at the Municipal Association. The meeting included an educational update on utility valuation. Moving forward, we have decided that the assessors will alternate attending these meetings, giving everyone an opportunity to participate. Also attached to this update is a schedule of workshops that are being offered at the NHMA's 78th Annual Conference. This is being held Wednesday, November 13th, Thursday the 14th, and it's up at the Doubletree Hilton in downtown Manchester. All of our staff will have an opportunity to attend a workshop or some workshops. We will have to alternate staff attending them so that we ensure proper coverage in the assessing department at all times. If any members of the board are interested in attending the conference or just specific workshops, you can let Karina in my office know, and we'll be glad to complete that registration for you. This past Monday, Mayor Donchis and I attended the Board of Aldermen Budget Committee. You may have seen an article in this morning's Telegraph. Legislation was submitted by the mayor for funding of overtime for our administrative staff and for a legal para to assist with the large number of informational requests that we have had. The legislation also included the hiring of a temporary assessor to assist with building permit inspections. The legislation had a line for $6,300 in funding for the purchase of 5 Microsoft tablets and licenses for the AP5 mobile software. This will allow the assessors to update the camera system out in the field, make real-time data entry, and it will increase efficiency. This week, the department submitted a request to the New Hampshire Department of Revenue for an extension in filing our annual MS1. The request was approved by the director, and our deadline was extended to October 11th. This is common. Extensions have been done in the past. They've been approved, and this will have no effect on the timely issuance of tax bills. The extension will allow the department, the assessors, additional time for capturing of data and inspections of building permits. On September 5th, the city held a non-mandatory pre-proposal meeting in relation to the RFP for the full measure and list appraisal and reval. 2 firms attended the meeting, Tyler Technologies and Vision Government Solutions. Proposals are due to the city by 3 p.m. on September 26th. This coming Tuesday, the 24th, the Board of Aldermen will hold a special meeting for an update on the Assessing Department Improvement Plan. The meeting is scheduled for 6:45 in the Aldermanic Chamber. Members of the department will be in attendance, and we invite members of the board to join them. Please let us know if a quorum of the board will attend, and we will post the required notice.
All right, are there any, thank you very much. Are there any questions?
No questions?
No.
Okay, there are no communications. Staff items for public discussion, there are none. Unfinished business, none. Public comment. Mrs. Ortolano, would you like to come forward, please? And would you please state your name and address for the record?
Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. I'm just going to read a write-up I have on the procedure manual, and I put it in writing to give it to you so you have it verbatim in the minutes, and I can send you the file to cut and paste. This is written to Ms. Kleiner because she worked on the manual with her staff. I'd like to read into the record my first thoughts regarding the revised manual presented to the board at the prior meeting. I want to thank you and the staff, and I appreciate the hard work done by the staff and you to bring this manual to the board in public. No doubt it involved much effort. In the article in the Telegraph, August 20th, 2019, City Completes New Assessing Manuals, you mentioned that input from the public had been incorporated into the policy manual. Quote, Kleiner contends the public has already had a chance to give input into the manual, citing the manual addresses many of the concerns brought forth by Ortolano and others, end quote. That was encouraging. Unfortunately, when I reviewed the manual, it would appear my input was neither addressed and or was disregarded, so it left me a little confused. Here is what transparency means to me in very simple terms. Sharing suggestions is great, but only if you're certain they're heard and acted upon, accepted or not. I want to know my suggestions are heard. However, I'm equally interested in a dialogue and listening to the board and/or administration discuss the recommendations brought forth by the public so we understand what the department's rationale is in the adoption of these procedures and policies. A one-way street with no communication falls short for the transparency. When I ask questions, I may or may not receive acknowledgement that the issue will be looked at, but I will rarely get information when that would take place and if it happened. If I check up 3 or 6 months later, I'm scolded for not letting you do your job. How does one follow up, and why is it unreasonable to expect a response? Your policy manual section, quote, public relations in the assessor's office, quote, reads, nothing is more frustrating to the taxpayer with a question than to be unable to reach the assessor. Good intentions, assessment knowledge, and public relation techniques will be of little use if the public cannot reach the assessor. Substitute assessing manager for the assessor, and the same can be said. As you all know, Ms. Kleiner, your shutdown of communication for myself to the assessors was quite frustrating for me, as you are well aware. The disclaimer in the front of the manual doesn't need to be there and is confusing to members of the public. Is it public information or is it not? I don't understand what the commercial purpose of the disclaimer is. What would be a violation of the disclaimer? How does restricting copying or allowing all public members to copy ensure that the manual isn't misrepresented? I was hoping to see the new agenda for the Board of Assessors meeting would contain a line item for policy procedure manual review. Given the mission statement of the board, this document should be a regular topic of discussion over a period of time to work through the information in it. It would seem to me at each meeting the chair would define the section to be reviewed for discussion at the next meeting and take a systematic approach to the manual review. This manual is a great learning tool for the board. I communicated with you the need to put headers on these documents that would have titles, dates, revisions, signatures, and page numbers. This is standard procedure for creating docs that serve as policy, procedure, or regulations. It appears that that was not done. Why? Additionally, I sent an email after the last board meeting, August 29, asking if you would be willing to put any revisions in the manual into the board packets. I did not receive an answer. The public will otherwise have no idea when changes are being made. And without headers, dates, revisions, signatures, and page numbers, there's no way to track how modifications are being done and when. Is this an intentional decision? I asked about documenting abatements on property cards in April, so residents would understand larger changes that can appear on some cards. I asked this because I was going into property card data on the computer, and when I would see big undocumented changes, I would take staff time to have them pull the file. I would then realize it was just an abatement. The response I received initially was, I'll look into this right away. This is not documented in the manual, and I'm not sure why. I followed up in June and received a poor response with the recommendation that I let you do your jobs. It's been 6 months, and I'm wondering if and how you plan on documenting abatements. I noticed in Haverhill, Mass, where Patriot is used, they document abatements in the notes section of the previous assessment area. I like this location a lot because it is right next to the assessment value and you don't have to search for it. It makes perfect sense. Abatements were documented in the past on property cards, but for some reason the assessors got away from it. I discussed with you the new policy written for notifying property owners if their assessments had increased due to a sale. The department based the increase for notifying a property owner on a fixed number of $20,000 or higher. I was concerned that this was hard on lower income people with lower property values, and they would experience more hardship in making the increased tax payments. It would be more difficult for seniors on fixed income. Why did the department not change to 1% rather than a dollar amount? Where is the procedure for rating the conditions in baths? This has been a big issue that has been addressed repeatedly for months now. There is no consistency or understanding on how these ratings are being applied. I addressed this issue at a board meeting in November of 2018. I would like to see the procedure so that when I am reviewing property cards, I understand the ratings given to kitchens and baths and other fixtures. If it's not part of this manual, why wouldn't you communicate with that to me and provide a separate copy? Additionally, the Telegraph article stated, there are policies for updating a property card, how you look at grade and condition, what constitutes fair and poor, and that's very important that we get all our assessors looking at the properties the same way. None of that's in the manual. I addressed my concerns about the Nashua abatement form not containing the same information as the state form over the winter. I took this complaint to the state, the DRA, and the BTLA. In the section on abatements, the abatement form in the book still does not have the information regarding the use of the ratio found on the state form. I feel strongly that Nashua should have the same information on the state form. Why did we delete it, and why does the city not support this? Section 2, understanding the property record card. I have observed that the residential grid section of the property record card does not appear to show the total bathroom count. I have noticed this on many property cards. It is labeled as section 41 on the sample property card in the manual. Why is this? Section 11, bathroom, total room, kitchens, is not on page 32 of the manual as indicated in the table of contents. I was interested in this section because I was looking for the rating system that you put on kitchens and bath for quality. Also, Appendix A through D listed in the table of contents are not in the section. Additionally, pages 27 and 28 appear to be missing for EYB grade and condition, and the depreciation section, page 33, is missing. Why? Section 15, procedures for MLS. There should be an explanation of how an MLS review is documented on the property card. I have found many cards that have inconsistent documentation for sales reviews. In my opinion, it should always be documented in the activity information section of the card. Assessors are not documenting it here consistently. So when you check a card for MLS review, you must check the comments section and see if there's an MLS write-up there. If it isn't there, you have to check if there is an 8 in the verify column of the sales information section on the card. Is there a table that explains the numbers in the verify column in their meeting? Additionally, the comment section should contain a note that says, no changes made on MLS review. Why? So we are certain that the assessors didn't just skip or not capture the information. The MLS review section should also have a tie to the notification to building permits for possible code violations. Section 17, review of sales. In the sales qualification letter, questions 16 and 17 concern me because they are subjective. What is the purpose of these questions? Section 19, possible work done without permits. This procedure was generated August 12, 2010 to formalize this issue. It states that there is an assessing and community development folder on the S drive that contains a spreadsheet of potential permit violations. Have you looked at this? Could you provide me with a copy of this spreadsheet? I'm concerned we are not communicating concerns with other departments. In the next section, the administrative staff procedure manual. This section of the manual concerns me. The management audit report addresses significant deficiencies in the management of the assessing office. Yet this section of the manual does not include any job functions and oversight descriptions for the manager or chief of assessing. These procedures and regulations should be written. What are the oversight reports to be generated? What is the process for checking work product and quality? Do we have a job description for the manager of assessing? What role do they play in data management? There should be procedures that show what the manager is doing to ensure the required state forms and paperwork are meeting regulations. I don't see anything in the manual that would quality check the sales and permit data. Who is overseeing the data and checking and verifying changes? Do you recognize that the assessing department is falling short in capturing sales and permit data and has struggled for years? If you believe the capture of this data is problematic, why wasn't a procedure written to audit the capture rate of this data? I don't see any procedures whereby the administration would be running audit reports to check the work product of each assessor. What reports will be run to ensure updating of the property cards is happening with quality and consistency? Who is checking the work of the assessors, and what is the procedure for these checks? The department now schedules field appointments. Who's ensuring that data is being captured correctly on the cards? The data entry section of the manual has Gary as the entry person for the data. I think it should be both Gary and Mike. Mike's name is on a lot of the work. For new accounts being added to the system, is there a yearly report being produced for new accounts? Chapter 16, printing sales reports. There is a sales report you can print that has year billed. Would this be useful for the assessors to check EYB and condition? Is there an incident reporting system for Patriot software problems when they arise? This incident report hopefully would become a discussion point in staff meetings. Technical software issues are real and are occurring with regularity. A documentation system for this technical problem is important, especially since there is no chief in the department and the manager is not located down there permanently. Do we maintain a support contract with Patriot so when technical problems arise with the staff, they can contact Patriot directly, who is authorized to call Patriot with technical questions? Assessors send out letters to homeowners when their property values are changed in states based on our ongoing continued analysis. What does a sales analysis involve? This is a question I've raised repeatedly and was hoping that the manual would address the process for this analysis. I noticed a procedure in place in the assessing office to work with building permit office for notifications when permits are not pulled. This is based on the assessors performing MLS reviews. My observation is this is not happening. I think of the Corazzini property, and the building department did not contact them when they moved in. I think of my property that might have fallen under this issue with kitchen renovations and a bathroom upstairs. No one contacted me from the building department. We both attended the New Hampshire State Statutes 1 class. The instructor told us a great deal of property corrections come from the neighbors telling on other neighbors. What does Nashua do when a taxpayer identifies an issue with their property based on a neighbor's property? I know that when I reviewed Berkeley Street properties with an assessor and saw that a permit was not captured for air conditioning, the assessor was willing to recognize that they missed it, but they never corrected it. Is there a procedure whereby a customer complaint regarding an inequitable neighborhood assessment is documented and responded to? How is EYB being addressed now, and what is the standard for making corrections? As we all know, this is a huge issue. KRT wrote a document on how to handle data corrections going forward after the 2012 reevaluation. It was in the old manual. I have a copy of it from several months ago. It is not in this document. Why was it removed, and are we using this document? I absolutely expected a document in this manual addressing EYB condition and grade. The assessors were working on a view factor procedure. Did this take place, and how is view factor rated for consistency on property cards? It is my hope that you are sincere in your statement to the Telegraph to accept public input and incorporate those suggestions into the document. If you require any clarification or need information, please feel free to contact me. A disclaimer I would like to read. I'm well aware that questions raised in the review do not fall under a document request, and therefore the legal interpretation of RSA 91A would leave all of these questions unanswered. If the board and administration are unable or unwilling to respond, a simple response informing me of that will do. Thank you.
Mrs. O'Lonnell,
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So you're saying, if I heard you correctly, that there are references made in the manual, and then when you look for certain items, they're not there, is that correct?
I gave Bob the pages. Pages 27 and 28 are missing, and I showed Amanda this morning. I've been in there 4 days, Dan, and I was racking my brain out thinking, this is the most important stuff to me. Am I just losing it? So I scanned the entire document yesterday with my phone scanner. And then last night I went through it and the pages aren't there. So then I said, okay, did I just make a mistake? So I came in early and I went down 27 and 28 on whatever I gave Bob. What was it?
27, 28, missing from the manual chapter.
11.
11.
Yeah.
Page 32 is missing kitchens and baths
It's
section.
in there, but the topic isn't in there. In page 33, 40, 34 on depreciation. So EYB is 27 to 28. EYB condition grade are missing. 33, 34 topic of depreciation, missing. Ratings for bathrooms and kitchens, missing. Those were all really big things for me. And the Telegraph was told it's all there. So I'm looking for that. So yes, I'm telling you, it's not in there. And I didn't ask the question down there because every time I ask a question, it becomes a right-to-know request. So I've kept my mouth shut. But if you can figure out how to get me that information, I'd love to see it.
All right, thank you very much.
And I'm going to just submit this to you so you have it right up because I read off of it. And I'm going to send you the file so you don't have to type it all. Thank you.
So is there a motion to go into non-public for matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, unless such person requests an open meeting? This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy, if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parenthetical C.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Bergeron?
Yes, second.
Mr. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Hansberry? Yes, so we are in non-public based on my watch at 8:43.